this is Fred Yehi. I just flew down from Waterloo, Iowa. I just picked up my phone. I'm angry. I'm pissed off. I'm short. But you are listening to the ECWF podcast. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Get the F out.
All right, welcome to episode number 35 of the ECWF podcast. We will not get the F out, we put the F back in. I'm your host, Sean Bicking, coming to you from the Electric City, Scranton, Pennsylvania. And on this episode, I was joined by Fred Yehi. We talked his title defense last night for FIP. We talked BACW, which was his backyard federation when he was younger, and where the name Fred Yehi came from. Him working for Evolve and what it's like working with Gabe Sapolsky. All the different names he's worked with. We talk about the Cruiserweight Classic and much, much more. So, enjoy. All right. Well, I think we have to start with last night.
Okay.
I don't want to. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, so I mean I know what happened, but I don't want to give away any spoilers if that's cool with you.
Okay.
All right. So we'll get started here. Back on the podcast here with Fred Yehi. Finally, he may or may not still be your current FIP World Champion. Going on possibly 2 months now as champion. How long have you been affiliated with FIP?
I've been affiliated with FIP since February, back in the FIP fallout. I debuted there in a tag contest. Myself and Gary J, we faced Flying Solo and Jason Cade there in Solo. So that was the debut of Fred Yehi with FIP.
Okay.
And we won. We definitely won. So.
Okay. Yeah. Much success since you've been there.
Sorry.
Yeah. So last night, how did you get involved with FIP in the first place?
How did I get involved with FIP in the first place? That happened through Evolve actually. Getting on with Evolve, it opened up some doors within that network. Of course, Evolve is under the WWN network.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it led to it. Like I was doing the Evolve thing. I've been wanting to do FIP since last year, but it just never really came about. So fun debuting in Evolve, I just kind of inquired about FIP, and that's how it happened. It's one thing that kind of led to the to the next, and eventually it came to pass, and
all right.
Here I am now.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so last night the matchup was supposed to be Michael Tarver with MSL, and unfortunately, Michael Tarver had suffered an injury and he was out of the match. Do you know what happened?
Apparently, he had a herniated disc, and just a compliment to his toughness. At the last show, he apparently wrestled Otisson from the WWE school, who's a beast, and he actually wrestled Otisson with a few broken toes. So I don't think anyone knew of that. So I mean, the guy is tough, and I tip the hat off to him. And herniated disc, it sucks. So he unfortunately couldn't compete, and there was someone who competed in his place. That was Aaron Solo,
Mm-hmm.
who a compliment to his toughness. He had a match with Gary J,
Mm-hmm.
in which he won early in that show, and he competed in the main event for the title.
Right. Okay. So was that disappointing though, as a competitor, knowing like you're not working with someone like Michael Tarver or anyone in general like that you've been pairing for any length of time?
I mean, yes. It's just like I have to think of what's his name, Daniel Cormier. I still can't really pronounce his last name.
Cormier, yeah.
Yeah, Cormier. He was training for John Jones, and John Jones, he couldn't compete, for his reasons, and he gets replaced with Anderson Silva. So it's the same thing. You prep for one thing and then something else happens, and because you didn't prep for that replacement, there's a huge vulnerability there. Especially for Michael Tarver, it's like, okay, this is a big guy. I need to work on this, I need to work on that. I need to get my strength up, still get my wind up, but then, you're prepared to, hey, just have a certain approach. And then, you're replacing with someone else. You kind of, well, I didn't train for this, but you still have to, come correct. And that's where you can. You have to adapt and overcome. So,
right.
Yeah, in a sense, it was disappointing at the same time. There's understanding that, hey, this is the spirit of competition. You get over it.
Right, right. Okay. So mentally, though, how do you shift from a matchup with Tarver to facing, whoever won the number one contender match, you said?
I'm not prepared for that mentally. Well, you don't really have time to really prepare.
Yeah.
You just do it, You just have to, you have to, you have that switch. You have to cut that switch on, and you just have to go with it, So that's just the way it is. You go out there, and that's where, your instincts just kick in. You just have to do it. You can't focus too much on just how you prep. You just have to go with it.
Right, right. Okay, so that gives you a certain advantage, though, facing someone who's already had a match earlier in the night, right?
Yeah, there are, let's see, I kind of got distracted with the dogs barking. Okay, now, hold on a second. Hey, Trent, where is he at, Trash? Okay, now, what was the question? I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, that's fine. I said, does that give you a certain advantage facing someone who's already had a match earlier in the night?
There is an advantage to that. I mean, there is an advantage, But then also, like, at a disadvantage, there's a temptation of, hey, well, look, you could possibly underestimate your opponent, knowing that he just had a match that night. So, like, there's that possibility that, hey, I know he's a bit banged up, so I can kind of, like, try to hold back. And then, and of course, there's a part that, you feel a little pride for it, and, you don't feel like you should exert as much,
right.
exert as much energy in the matchup because you knew you disappeared in the matchup earlier. So, there are advantages and disadvantages, and I've seen guys that even when I wrestled in, in high school and college, who actually, found themselves, they beat themselves before they stepped on the mat.
Right.
But I took the match with the same approach of, hey, I want to compete and I want to remain champion, and I'm not going to get embarrassed, and I'm going to do my thing,
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so has there been any plans or any talks to face Tarver down the road?
I'm quite sure it'll likely happen. I'm quite sure it doesn't sit well with him that he had gotten hurt. So I'm pretty positive that it will happen, really soon as he's better, as he's 100%.
Okay, cool.
Close to 100%. Like, he's, again, that's a very tough guy.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's take it back a little bit now. What was it like growing up? Where are you originally from?
Originally, I'm from Waterloo, Iowa. Lived in Daytona Beach for years. Then moved to Atlanta, Georgia. So, also lived in Carolina for a bit. So.
Oh, wow. All over, yeah. So, you have a big family growing up?
Have a what now?
You have a big family growing up?
A big family? Well, grew up in a family of 6, a blended family, actually. But mom, she remarried, her husband, he already had like 2 kids, and they got married, and, I had a child through the marriage, so, 6 kids. 6 kids in all.
Yeah, so, how many brothers, how many sisters?
Well, we're the Brady Bunch. 2 brothers and 3 sisters, so.
Nice.
All in the house.
Okay. Any other brothers or sisters wrestling fans?
Growing up, like, my 2 older sisters, they had like 10 years on me. They were actually wrestling fans. They were like, Ric Flair and Sting, but of course, with them being, little girls, they didn't really watch it for, the same reasons that I would watch it. They were into, like, the guys that they thought were cute. They were me, and they liked Ric Flair. They liked to see the guys run around in their tights, and, they liked the muscles and all that kind of stuff. That's why they watch, But they get invested in it. My 2 brothers, growing up, they liked wrestling. Like, we had our action figures. And I remember how we would, we would like sit down in the living room and like we had our own action figures and you sit down and have like our own like individual shows. We would stack our wrestling rings like next to each other and have a match going on. But yeah, it was crazy. But like as we got as they got older and stuff, they kind of fell out of it. Kind of like went to their own interests but to me, like wrestling always hit a bit of a soft spot. So I started to actively pursue it.
Yeah. So do you remember like going to wrestling shows as a kid and stuff like that?
As a kid, I only went to one wrestling show. I only went to one live event as a kid, and that was WCW when they were at the Ocean Center. When they came to the Ocean Center for a show in Daytona. And I remember seeing Vader and Rick Rude and Jack and British Bulldog. I remember Too Cold Scorpio like walked right by me, and I remember seeing him. And I was only like maybe like what? I was like maybe 4. Too Cold Scorpio walks by, and I was, oh my God, it's Too Cold Scorpio, and he didn't hear me. Like, but I remember how big he just, like on television, they don't really look as big. Like, you don't really see it, especially as a kid. You don't really get it. You don't really understand the concept of like how they look on camera versus in person. But as an adult, we can see that. So I thought that because Too Cold Scorpio did a lot of high aerial stuff and the 450 splash and the top rope and all that stuff, I thought that he was like a smaller guy, but he was big. And like as a kid, my judgment, I thought he was like actually fat, but he was just a big, he's just a big solid guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Sting walked right by me, and I'm like, "Hey, Sting!" He just, "Hey, what's up, kid?" Just kind of kept walking, and
Nice.
But yeah, but it
was what year are we talking?
Yeah. So that was like some of the, that's like an early memory of it. I remember Sid Vicious and Vader, they like scared the piss out of me. They were, they were talking about like taking over the world and everything else. I'd already been like a little, afraid of, Vader and Vicious, and they were talking about what they were gonna do to everyone, and it's like, man, I was gonna walk up in the stands and that's gonna just beat up everybody. They're saying they're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Really believe in it, but yeah, that's my early memory of
Cool, cool, man. All right. Any other sports growing up?
Any other sports? I had gotten like really heavy into like basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was cold. Yeah, I had gotten into like basketball once we moved to Georgia. So like I played some, because of like where I was living, like basketball was like really big. So I got into a few AAU leagues. So I gotten pretty good at a certain point. So about middle school I was playing AAU ball. High school I was playing junior varsity. I was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was a knucklehead at the same time. So like after my 9th grade year, I was like ineligible. So they wouldn't let me play. And then, of course, like, I wasn't 6 feet tall. And, of course, that's what they're going to look at. So, like, they wouldn't even let me like practice with the team. But that's when I got into the amateur wrestling.
Okay.
Like, a little after that first semester of high school, I got into amateur wrestling and fell in love with it. But then from that, like, I wrestled through high school, got my grades up, turned it around, like, a complete 180.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from, like, a 1.6 GPA to, like, a 3.7.
Nice.
And I just turned it around and competed through high school, and I wrestled in college as well. So
can you say what got you in trouble in high school, or?
Well, high school, I was just a knucklehead. Peer pressure to do the things that we think are cool. Like I never fortunately I never smoked or drank or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But just doing little knucklehead stuff. Like I was doing skipping class and just doing stupid stuff. It was just real stupid. Right. Thinking it's cooler to not do your work and just be real stupid because I knew better.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it hit me real soon when I saw that GPA and failing 5 classes that freshman year. But yeah, so I turned it around and I had the early wake up call. So,
All right. Was there a certain moment or a certain person that inspired you to kind of push you towards wrestling?
Well, what pushed me towards the amateur wrestling?
Or just in general, yeah.
Well, in general, what pushed me towards it was a matter of pride. I remember that first practice. I guess the coach he either saw something in me, or maybe he just wanted to see just what was all just what I was about. Like I didn't know anything. I didn't know any moves. So I remember like my first day of practice, I had to leave early because I was going to school out of district, and my mom would like pick me up around like 5:30, because again like we lived like maybe 25 minutes away from school.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to leave early. So we're in the middle of practice. Like, well, hey, I have to go. So where are you going? I'm like, I have to go. Like my mom was out in the front. He's like, well, hold on a second. So finished up our drill. He puts me in the middle of the mat. And he goes, all right. He sends the guy out there on me to wrestle. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I did my best. And wrestling is taxing. So did my best. And he pinned me. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. He said, no, where you going? Like, I gotta go. He's like, okay, nah, someone else. He throws to another. So before you know it, like I had just wrestled like 6 guys. And they all just kind of beat the crap out of me. I was so pissed because I never felt so defensive before like that. Like I didn't know what I was doing, and these guys just like kind of ran through me. Mm-hmm. So I remember like that night I could not sleep. I was like, that would never happen again. So I just couldn't quit. Like the pride would let me quit. So from then I just went. I was determined to get better. And by the end of that year, like I was beating all those guys. Like
nice.
So yeah, like it forced me to get pretty good, really fast. And yeah, so from then I just couldn't let it go.
Right. Okay. So doing amateur wrestling, you said all through high school and all through college. How come it didn't go any farther than that?
Well, as far as let's see. As far as why I didn't go further. High school I did pretty good. Wrestling wasn't a big sport at my high school. They were all like football, basketball for the most part. Mm-hmm. But I did like rack up 100 wins, so I had a pretty good record. When I wrestled in college, for some reason, there was like some kind of issue with the NCAA clearinghouse where they just would not clear me to like compete varsity. So I was always like subject to like wrestle like it opens and that kind of stuff. But I was always, I was always in practice. I was always training. I was still on the team, but that was it. That was the big issue as far as like with college wrestling. So I never really had the chance to really wrestle like for varsity because of that reason. I could have, after college, I did have the option of, hey, I could continue to train and keep doing opens and still take it further. But it was just a matter of choice. I went off to the military, and I still knew that I wanted to, eventually get into like the professional wrestling. Mm-hmm. So, it was a matter of choice, if anything.
Okay. All right. So how long have you been professional wrestling now?
See, I started the professional wrestling in 2012. I began my training in 2011. So early 2012 is when I, debuted in Atlanta, Georgia. So total of like a little over 4 years now.
Okay. All right. Talk about BACW.
BACW. All right, BACW. BACW was something that we started when we were like a small group of friends and I. This goes back like we were like maybe 13 years old. So it was like a backyard thing, a buddy of mine, Melvin Bell, another wrestler. He doesn't wrestle indie or anything, but he was like a teammate. He wrestled in Iowa. He had gotten a camera for his birthday, camcorder, and his younger brother had happened to get a trampoline for his birthday, which is like a few months prior. He was like, hey, let's do some wrestling matches, like some WWE stuff. I was like, okay, cool. So we would do these matches and film them, and then we just put them on the VHS. and we just watch him, you know. And then so his family would come through, and we have this stuff on VHS, and they watch him, you know. So yeah, so you know, we had like it's like a small group, like maybe 6 or 7 of us, and it just continued on. You know, we're like, hey, look, you know, we should try this, you know, we should try that. And it just continued, and then like, you know, throughout high school, and eventually, you know, YouTube had gotten popular, and people were putting all kinds of stuff on YouTube. We came across this group that was in Columbus, Georgia, who actually had a wrestling ring. So we contacted them. We were like, hey, you know, how cool would it be to, you know, join up with them, link up with them, and, you know, just to tell them what we could do. So one thing led to the next thing. We were doing like matches like with them in a ring, and then they happened to know another group who they worked with, and they had a ring. So then eventually we ended up buying the ring from that group, and then we started like, you know, running our own little tapings and stuff. Because by that point I had started getting into indie. I was training, and I was getting to know guys, and I was able to get a few guys to come over to BACW and wrestle. So it turned into like almost like a hybrid kind of thing. Like we had like backyarders, and we had guys who were like, you know, they were trained, they were doing shows, and they came, and, you know, and they really helped the cause. So
Yeah.
like a backyard versus pro kind of thing. So so that's like the origins of it. It just continued to grow over time, and yeah.
Okay.
BACW.
What does BACW stand for?
BACW stands for Battle Action Championship Wrestling.
Okay.
Originally, it was something else that I can't say. Like, I don't want to say it on air, but it was Bad A Championship
I
Wrestling.
gotcha. Nice. Okay, and what? So you started back when you were just a teenager in there. What was your wrestling name? What were you going by then?
That's another story within itself. At first, I was just Fred. I was just Fred at first. But then I remember, like again, like in high school, like you know, I played basketball, and you know, I got into the amateur wrestling and stuff too. So basketball was still like a hobby. That was something I did often, like outside, like, you know, just the amateur wrestling. So one day we're at a basketball court, and you know, we're playing full court, running a game, or whatever, and a guy throws a pass and jumped as high as I could to get it. It was a bad pass, and I just could not get it. So the other guy was like, man, you know, you're throwing these bad freaking passes. Like, why would you throw a pass that high with Fred? He's only like Yehi high. And it just stuck. And I'm like, wait a minute. Yehi. I'm like, Yehi. Why E-H-I? All right. Let me keep that. Yehi, Fred. Yehi.
There it
and then I
is.
just stepped it from there. And then we did this little... I have to find this promo. Like, we did this promo before a match. I'm like, yeah, you know, they don't just call me Fred. Ted DiBiase, yeah, he has a last name. Holly Grace, he has a last name. Don't call me my last name. My name is Fred Yehi. And it just went from there to grow, you know. So.
That's awesome. That's real cool. Okay, talk about, you mentioned Evolve before. How did you get into Evolve?
Evolve? Well, that was just a matter of an opportunity. Just working, you know, for the right people is making the right kind of connections, and that opportunity came about. And I did not know everything, like, you know, in and out. I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was going to lead to. I had heard of Evolve. I never really did my homework on Evolve originally, and so when it came about, you know, hey, you know, look, you should go and do this tryout. You know, originally I'm like, you know, because a lot of, you know, the tryouts and seminars, you know, they can't. I mean, they're always like useful. There's always something to learn. But then, you know, like some people may put the whole, you know, moniker tryout and as a way to, you know, get your money.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you can try out, and you know we'll pick you if we like you. It's just, you know, money scam. But I did it. You know, I showed up, and I happened to, you know, be put on the card. You know, thanks to Gabe. You know, he gave me that opportunity. And that was actually through Bill Bearings. Bill Bearings is the one that put word in for me. I know they worked pretty close together years ago.
That's funny you should mention that. I have Bill Bearings on the podcast tomorrow, actually.
Yeah. But he's the one that he put the word in, say, hey, you know, give him a shot, you know, see if you like him. Went down and I faced Leo Rush, and I guess that was the tryout. And I had no idea. And that's just a funny story within itself, because I had never worked like, You know, like in my eyes, like again, like I saw Evolve as like, oh, this is like a super indie show. I'd never been to one, and and when I heard like the reaction of the crowd, and I'm used to like working like the whole like Southern indie is different, and I'm hearing the reaction of the crowd, and it's almost intimidating. It's like, man, can I get them to react that way? And but I remember just being so nervous, and I'm like, well, look, he's got to go out and just just do what you do, and just do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how that came about. It just came from an opportunity, and I did my best, and one thing led to the next, and it took some courage, and it took a lot of courage, honestly, and and it said put my best foot forward and just walking faith.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's how it came about.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, talk a little bit about working with Gabe. Like, what's that experience been like?
It's been a great experience so far. He's one of the more professional guys I've had the pleasure like working under. Gabe is all about he just really gives guys opportunities, and I've been able to grow since starting with Evolve. I've been able to like just grow significantly as a performer. I'm still learning. I'm still under the learning tree. Yeah, but it's been great thus far. Being able to wrestle Chris Hero and TJ Perkins and Drew Gulak, like a host of other guys. I'm just learning so much from these guys. And, I can compare myself, now, even from like 3 months ago, there's like a drastic improvement. But it's been a real, I feel very, very very thankful and very grateful for the opportunity to work under a guy like Gabe.
Mm-hmm. Cool. How important is it to be on WWN, like under that umbrella?
What now?
How important is it being on WWN and like under that umbrella?
Is it how important?
Yeah.
It's WWE. Is that what you were saying? Or are you saying WWE?
No, the
network.
The network, yeah.
How important? It's very important. Sal, I still don't know how to pronounce his last. Are we all learned? After small wrestling crashing the party, it is Sal Hamley. Okay. I'm having China when we were about to host this thing, especially on the free 3D channel on it's on it's on the YouTube dealie. And yeah, I always thought it was Hamley. I was like, Sal, how do you pronounce your last name? I want to make sure I say this right. It's like Hamley. I'm like, are you sure? Sal Hamley. And then you use 4-letter words. Sal Hamley. So Sal Hamley, like the network, like it's very freaking important. Anytime you have, it's just like NWA, like that umbrella, and what that was, but except for this isn't, these aren't like territories, but anytime you have like a network, that's just what it is. It's a network, so it's really really cool. And I mentioned earlier in the interview that working with Evolve opened the door for FIP, which also opened the door for another show today, which is ECWF. So it's a really it's always great to have like a network. In this case with Sal, this is a very big network, and they're making all the the right business moves. They're about to they made some kind of like upgrades to the site, and then they're like rumors of like this. Well, not just rumors. This is true. Like they're about to embrace the. Embark. Whatever that word. I'm getting my words mixed up. Yeah. but I can't mention, but something's coming up. Like something big is about to happen. But they're making the right moves. And Gabe and Sal, they're an awesome duo. When it comes to the business, and Trevin Adams too. He's but it's great. So the network is. It's a really big deal. It's a really big deal.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially guys like me who are trying to get out there and get better and make important moves.
Mm-hmm. There was an announcement last night at the FIP show. I don't know if that's what you were referring to. with the upcoming event.
The WWN Under the Radar.
WWN under the radar. Yeah.
Well, is that what you're referring to? Is WWN Under the Radar?
No, then they announced something with I don't know if it was Shimmer or something at the pay-per-view, like an upcoming event.
Oh yeah,
Shine. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's July 22nd. He released the Defender Championship against Steve Young.
Yes, there it
Yeah,
is.
we broke that news.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, you don't have to get too much more into it if you that's all right. You mentioned Drew Gulak.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be a member of the upcoming Cruiserweight Classic. And you had plenty of battles with him throughout Evolve and whatnot. Talk about Drew Gulak and then being a Catchpoint member.
Well, Drew Gulak, one way to really describe him like as a wrestler is, I mean, he's a wrestling master. You know, that's just Gulak. He's been in it for a while. It was kind of surreal being able to like compete against him because he's one of the guys that I watched like before I even got into the business. So like it was pretty cool to wrestle. But I mean, he's a wrestling master. And joining Catchpoint, you know, it's just a great opportunity to just grow. You know that I mean, you how can you not learn? How can you not learn when you're associated and you travel with and you're training with Gulak and TJ Perkins, Matt Riddle. Tracy Williams, like, I mean, like, for a guy like me who's, I'm all about, just improving my game and, getting better. So, like that's, that's what it is. But, Catchpoint, it's a philosophy, it is a philosophy, just like, the catch wrestling. And, I mean, that's Catchpoint. It's a group of guys who, we agree on this philosophy, and that's what we do, and that's what we want to bring to wrestling.
Yeah.
That's the whole thrill with even a guy like Gulak and Tracy Williams, like being in the Global Cruiserweight Classic. Like they're in a sense like re-educating, like the wrestling. Re-educating, blah, 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 for Yehi Talks Part 2. Re-educating, just the wrestling, wrestling universe of, hey, what is a cruiserweight? I honestly believe that it was like maybe during like that 95, 96, 97, like WCW, a lot of luchadors were coming over, and like all these luchadors, they were in the cruiserweight division. So you had Rey Mysterio and Psychosis and Solano 5, Solano 6, and Juventud Guerrera, and you had Eddie Guerrero. Like you had all these like luchadors, coming over to the U.S. and they were all cruiserweights. And so when people think of cruiserweights, they think in a sense lucha and high flying and all that kind of stuff. But that's where that came from. Dynamite Kid, was a cruiserweight.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of cruiserweights, who work like a ground-based style, but it's not. Being a cruiserweight doesn't mean you fly around the ring. And right. I really believe that like guys like Gulak and Tracy Williams, will really re-educate wrestling fans as far as like, hey, look, we're cruiserweights because the weight class. That's what it is. It doesn't mean we jump all around, So
right.
Yeah, I'm pretty thrilled about that. Just the idea that. Wrestling fans can potentially be re-educated.
Yeah, now you yourself had the qualifying match against TJ Perkins, and unfortunately it came up short, but are you still like an alternate or like an injury replacement for the tournament?
Well, I mean, things could happen. I wouldn't rule out that possibility. I wouldn't rule that out. Well, I mean, the brackets for now. I mean, they're set, but who knows?
Right.
I wouldn't want anyone to get injured. I mean, everyone who's there, they deserve to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But anything could happen. Anything could happen. I mean, it's wrestling. Anything could happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so looking maybe down the road a little bit, like as far as the Cruiserweight Classic goes, I mean. I don't know if it was announced, like, if there's going to be, like, a division coming out of this or, like, a trophy, a title, like, what's the end game for it? I mean, is it just, like, kind of like a big tryout for everybody to get a look at, you know what I mean? Like, how do you view, like, the end game for it?
The ending?
Yeah.
I really believe that on the larger scale, with the way that this product is being promoted and put out, I believe that one thing for certain would be that this should change the way that people should view cruiserweights, for one, which in turn should lead to more opportunities for guys who are not, over 6 feet tall and 230 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I believe. But as far as like what the actual plan, what the actual vision is, like that, I'm not sure. I don't really know.
Right. Okay. All right. We'll talk about a couple of other names. You worked with. You worked with Marty Scurll and his Evolve debut. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. How'd that go?
I mean, it was great. I mean, Marty Scurll. I didn't want to talk on the phone and get the gas station. I know we got to wrap up. Yeah. We gotta get on the road. Okay. Okay. Can you grab me some orange? I'll give it back to you. Like orange juice and yogurt. Yogurt and fruit. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Trevor. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Working Marty Scurll. I mean, it was great. That's another guy who's been in the game for a while. He's done a lot of his work in the UK. But that was just another brain to pick from. But he's a very, very smart, very intelligent wrestler.
Yeah.
So it's a really good experience overall. With the experience edge, he was able to edge me out. But I'm a much better wrestler than I am, now that that I was then. So I mean, that's the big payoff. It's all about wins and losses. Like the wins, but the W's, they're gonna start like racking the board with those. It's gonna happen. So,
yeah, definitely.
There's no reason to hold my head down. I can still hold my head up, hold my chin up, and I have nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah. Okay. Another guy you worked with. I think it was like back in maybe 2012. Kyle O'Reilly.
Kyle O'Reilly, yes, I actually did work Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, was that for PCW or Empire?
That was PCW.
Okay.
That's PCW. I did work Kyle O'Reilly in 2012. That was like maybe my 4th month in. So I was fortunate to get that match, and fortunately the promoter saw enough in me to give me that match. But yeah, it was fine. It was a match that I learned something from.
Mm. Cool. Okay, another name I'll throw out there, and this will be the last one. Chase Owens.
Chase Owens, yeah. That was another guy. The coolest thing about the Chase Owens match is one of my trainers, Jay Fury, who's former Ring of Honor FIP. He told me that, hey, you're gonna find that guy at some point. Different points in your career, you're gonna end up wrestling that guy who's gonna show you where you're at. His was Bryan Danielson. Daniel Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying how, Daniel Bryan just like wrestled circles around him, and it just kind of showed him where he was at.
Mm-hmm.
Chase Owens didn't necessarily wrestle circles around me, but he really showed me where I was at, and that was like a real turning point, at that point in my young career.
Yeah.
It was like I think the Chase match happened like it was either like late 2012, like still within that first year,
mm-hmm.
or it was like early 2013. So it was one of the two. So he really showed me where I was at, because he was just at a whole different skill level. He was hungry. He was really trying. And I'm not saying he's not hungry now,
right?
But he was still en route to trying to get to New Japan. But he showed me where I was at as a worker, and I just saw that, hey, look, he's at this level. This is the level that I want to get to. So, so like the first time I worked him, like that was the revelation for me, and that was like a match that, hey, was a turning point.
Yeah. Very cool. You mentioned Daniel Bryan, and you yourself, you were at WrestleMania 30. Is that right?
I didn't go to WrestleMania 30. No, I was there for that weekend.
Oh, okay. All right. Back in the day, you put out a Tough Enough video.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that.
The tough enough video?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hey, if I could become a tough enough contestant, hey, I'll take it. So, so yeah, that's pretty much what it was. And like during that time, I was really trying to, just get out there and get something going. I was kind of, somewhat stuck in Georgia. Hoping to get some kind of opportunity. Thank you. Hoping to get some kind of opportunity. So I mean, that's really what tough enough was. For me, that's basically what that was.
Okay. Cool. What are your thoughts about you have a show tonight, but are you gonna be able to catch any of the UFC with Brock tonight?
I really want to watch it, but I'm disappointed that John Jones, he got him out.
Yeah.
Very disappointed about that. But I really hope Brock Lesnar wins, because again, he represents, we professional wrestlers, and I really hope he goes out and not just wins. I hope he dominates and knocks the guy out. So, I really hope he does. So it'll be a real good, it'll be 2 points, 6 points, 12 points.
Yeah.
Professional wrestler if he does that.
Is that a prediction from Fred Yehi?
It's a prediction, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna make it a prediction. So yeah, I prophesize that Brock Lesnar is going to dominate this fight.
Okay.
And, beat him in the face a good bit.
Cool. All right. How about anything outside of wrestling? Yeah, you have any weird interest or like hobbies?
Oh yeah, sure I do. Naruto anime. That's yeah. He just kind of smirked me off. But yeah, Naruto anime. I'm a big Naruto fan. And I do enjoy anime. So of course I got work out. The gym. Spend a lot of time with my girlfriend. We go do things like I like long walks. I love I love long walks and joy rides. I like to go hiking. I like to read.
Cool.
I'm trying to get more into like comic books, that kind of stuff. Let's see, what else? I'm a Christian, so my faith is a big part of my life, of course. I work with like at-risk youth.
Yeah.
So behavioral health. So I do that. A lot of work in that field. What else? I'm trying to think. What else? I love to eat. Love good food. I have a legendary crazy sweet tooth that I've like recently gotten a better hold of and taming it. Much better job taming this sweet tooth over the past like couple of months. So that's a little something extra about Fred Yehi.
All right. Nice. All right. If you weren't wrestling, what would you be doing?
If I was what now?
If you weren't wrestling, what would you be doing?
I don't know. I honestly can't say. I don't know what I'd be doing. Because working a regular job sucks. It's at the point now, because I've talked to a few people about this, just friends and stuff, and whether it's just a regular conversation, whatever. But I really want to get to the point to where wrestling pays the bills, and like stuff like working with the youth becomes something that hey I want to do, because like right now it's like more times than not I go in on shift not wanting to be there, not because I hate the job, just because I'd rather be doing something else at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to be able to hey go in and just hey look this is what I can do, this is what I want to do, and with that job the schedule's like pretty flexible, like hey so I can come in on these days and I can do it, but have wrestling paying the bills because that's something I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
But actually go in and be on shift because I want to be there, but I can't really tell you what if it wasn't wrestling. I don't really know what else I'd be doing.
Right.
Maybe traveling. Like I like to travel,
Mm-hmm.
but
Well, no, you mentioned being the youth counselor though. I mean that's maybe something you see yourself doing long term, like after wrestling's done, like way down the road, or.
Yes and no. I wouldn't want to. I like to be, it's like okay. For one, like it's a very challenging but a very rewarding job.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime you put a lot of like time and energy into something or even someone, and you don't see results soon enough, or as soon as you like to see them, it can really drain you. So you have to find that balance of, hey, you really care, you're gonna do what's best for this youth, but at the same time, you can't get too emotionally invested, because then you're gonna hate the job.
Right.
And so like, I wouldn't want to like be like as hands on. I like to be, like if I were to do, that kind of work, I like to, hey, be the guy who comes in and, hey, takes them out on some kind of outing, like just get them out.
Right.
Do something more therapeutic, versus like, always being there as a first response, for a crisis prevention kind of case or whatever. Like, that can kind of like, wear on you a little bit.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, it's important to give back, but at the same time, like, you don't want to. It's not like a 24/7 thing.
Yeah.
I gotcha. All right. What is on Fred Yehi's iPod right now?
Fred Yehi's iPod?
Yep.
I don't even have an iPod.
Well, I mean, I like iPhone music wise. What are you listening to?
I have nothing on the iPhone. I have no music on my
Oh
phone.
man.
I have nothing. Like a Fred Yehi, like I may just tune the radio, or I have like one CD where I just take like, I put like select songs on there and I just jam that same CD like all the time. It's like a mixture of everything.
Hold on, I have to explain now to the kids listening. A CD is what was after tapes and before iPods. So just people.
That's where you have for you. Like, I'm like, video games is another thing. I'm so far behind on video games. Like, I'm very far behind. Like, I think the last game system was the PSP, and like before, like I would like to play games like No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000 on the N64, and of course, like every year, the new NBA Live game would come out, or the 2K 13, 14, 15 would come out. Then it got to a point where I would like much rather play like a general manager, play coach, and I would just like build my team and run them through the season, and have the computer play against the computer while I like kind of coach the team and put players in. It just kind of turned into game.
That's funny because I just had another guy in the Cruiserweight Classic, Lindsay Dorado, on, and he was a big time like old school video game guy, like N64 and stuff like that. So that was cool that you mentioned. But all right, so how about what's the last movie you saw, like in theaters or?
Let's see, the last movie I saw was the Batman versus Superman.
Oh.
That's the last movie that I saw. But I want to go see the when is The Purge coming out? Is that already hit?
I think it did just come out last weekend. I'm not sure. But
Oh, that's right. They did come out July 4th. Okay, so yeah, I'm probably gonna get The Purge time.
okay. What did you think of Batman vs Superman?
Well, I thought it was cool. It really made me want to, like, I really wish I was like really into the comic book, because I could tell that, like, for those who like really understood the depth of Batman and Superman, like they really, I could tell. I was hoping for like the reason that they were going to like side with each other. Like, it was something about like their mother having the same name or something like that. It was something, I don't know. Like, I kind of felt a little iffy. I was like, that's why they decided to fight. Like, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, I thought the movie was fine. I just wish I could have understood it more. But I guess you have to be the one who really read the comics and all that kind of stuff and really understood.
Right. I gotcha. Okay. Something that's become popular over the past week or so. Does Fred Yehi play Pokemon Go?
Man, I'm really considering it. I'm really considering getting that. Everyone's doing it. Like,
yeah. Especially wrestlers.
Yeah,
So like what? So you basically build your own Pokemon and you just fight people.
I don't know. I haven't played it myself, but the concept I understand it as is like wherever you are, like it shows up and you have to like go to that certain location and like capture them or something. I don't really know how it works, but I see like a lot of people like stop in the middle of the road, stuff like that, like crazy stuff, like or going like walking 2 blocks because I have to catch this Pokemon. I'm like, I don't understand it, but
Wow. 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 That's gonna cause so many accidents, man.
yeah, it definitely it's one of those things. I don't know, but as far as you're concerned, give me like a short term and like a long term goal for you.
Let's see. Short term goal: retain this title tonight and enjoy this fruit and yogurt. Long term goal: just being very not just not just successful and comfortable, but being at a point where like I can be very fruitful with anything. Being at a point where it's not just about money, but even as far as any things that I've learned, being able to help out the next guy, help out like a lot of people, whatever, especially in wrestling, like being that mentor like figure. Right now I'm 27. Like by the time I'm 38, I like to be at a point where hey, I have a lot of influence. I can really help out the next generation guys coming up, like I am right now. That's long term. Be
Okay.
happy.
All
Not
right.
just happy that have to be able to have that joyful spirit. That being like some people find that. I like to have that. Be a big influence. Really good influence on people for a long term.
Okay. All right. If you could pick anybody, either dead or alive, for a dream opponent, who would it be?
Dream opponent. Let's see. I have a few of those. Trish Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Kyle Sawa, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho. Yeah, those are like some like they young for funny reasons, man. They be hilarious. Shinsuke Nakamura, like yeah, I can kind of go on. It's kind of hard to narrow it down.
Right. Right.
And like there's just different scenarios. Like if I were to say Shawn Michaels would be like WrestleMania.
Right.
If I were to say like Chris Benoit would be like Bash the Beach for some reason. I don't know why. Like so it'd be like outdoor setting. Like yeah.
Okay. And kind of in the same sense, can if you can you narrow down maybe like a top 3 or a top 5 of guys that you have already faced?
Top 3, top 5 guys of already faced. Yeah. This is knowing. This is not like in a particular order, but Chris Hero and TJ Perkins, like those two are just ones that come to mind because I've learned so much from those two.
Mm-hmm.
And those are like turning points in my career. That's those two. There's another gentleman who he's not really known too well. That's Shane Martin. Shane Martin, the wrestler who's in Atlanta, Georgia. I think people know about him. He's actually a great worker. If you go on the ECWF channel, you'll see that we basically put a match out yesterday. That was going to be the title of my summer with Shane Martin. So definitely check that one out. That actually happened last year. We can go back a month with that. It just came out today. So check him out, Shane Martin. Another guy, top 5 opponent, John Gresham. That's another guy.
Mm-hmm.
If I could say number 5, I would say 5. That's what that is. That's number 5. Davey Richards, like that's another guy who I could face again. But I got to say Davey Richards. I did learn to make him.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah. Okay. We're kind of winding down here, and I want to thank you for taking time out and being on. I know you're busy there and got a bunch of stuff going on, so I appreciate the time.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. Thank you for having me.
And if you want to, can you throw out your social media plugs and stuff like that?
Oh, yes, definitely. Find me on Facebook, Fred Yehi. You can like my page, Fred Yehi. I actually have a hate page. I hate Fred Yehi. You can like that too. You can follow me on Twitter at Fred Yehi. A lot of Fred Yehi, man. Email address, booking email, fredpost8@yahoo.com. Also check out ECWF Wrestling. That's on YouTube. We air episodes every week. Check me out at WWN Live Network for the All SIP, also ECW. Check out the wrestling. Tier 1 Wrestling. Yes, Tier 1 Wrestling. That's the Battle of John Progression and Black Baron tomorrow evening. The triple threat match for the SIP title. That's if I still have it after tonight. So yeah, the videos and man will be available soon on WWN Live. Also check out WWA4 Wrestling School in Atlanta. AR Fox head trainer. That's where I train. A lot of guys are coming through there and have a lot of talent there. Check out WWA4. Support them. Let's see anything else. That's all to think of right now.
All right. All right. And all right, that was my conversation with Fred Yehi. Had a little assist there from his co-pilot there. Obviously, he's on the road there, busy. Got a bunch of stuff going on, but it's fine. It worked out. I enjoyed it. I appreciate the time. And make sure you guys look up the name Fred Yehi. It's going to be a name, I think, coming up very soon that you're going to have to notice. Doing big things in Evolve, the FIP current champion. Possibly some WWE work in the near future, hopefully. We'll see. Get out of here on my plugs. Facebook group page, Electric City Wrestling Fans. Facebook page, Electric City Wrestling Fans. On Twitter, at ECWF Podcast. On YouTube, Electric City Wrestling Fans. iTunes, Electric City Wrestling Fans. It's easy. It's all the same thing. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to iTunes. Follow on Twitter. Like on Facebook. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.